Okay, so here's our textbook exercise for the newsletter. What we did last time was we flowed the text in, we spanned this title across the 3 columns, we added a drop cap, subheadings, we added these styles using the paragraph styles menu, we added a sidebar with text wrapping around it, and then on page 2, we placed this article into this text frame and formatted that. Today we're going to add a table in this area here, and after we do that it's going to look like this. And what we're going to do is place a table, the content from an Excel spreadsheet. If you love Excel, not me, but if you are one that loves Excel, you could do that. You could format your table content in Microsoft Excel and then place it into the InDesign document. Or you could create your table in InDesign. So either way is fine. And I'll show you how to do both ways. If we go to the links panel too, just kind of FYI, if you see like that Angels ad is missing or updated, you can go back and open that file by opening it in InDesign or go to Edit Original, and you can update the link here. But you can open that file and make sure you see the asterisk here showing that these images have been changed, but the file hasn't been saved yet. So if you see that, just make sure you go ahead and save the file with the updated changes. So this is the Angels Ad InDesign file. Then go back to the newsletter file, and once you save it, you should see it updated in the links panel. So if you see that, you just have to go back, make sure it's updated in the other InDesign file, save it, and then update it here. And you can check that in the links panel. All right, I'm going to go to page 2, and in my textbook here, we are on stage 3 working with tables, page 194 in your textbook. And so the first thing we're going to do is place that content from an Excel table. So I'm going to zoom in this area. I'm going to place the table on my pasteboard area outside of the document so it doesn't interfere with anything else. So go to File, Place, and go to that aerospace folder. And look for, what's this one called? Oh, it's an Excel sheet. So just the one with the XLS extension, contacts.xls. And go ahead and check Show Import Options and uncheck Replace Selected Items. Click Open. And then you can take a look at the dialog box here. We're going to use sheet 1, this cell range. It's an unformatted table, the basic table style. We're using typographer's quotes. You can look in your textbook to look at those settings as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and just click OK and place it onto my pasteboard. And now you can see that table. So it's unformatted, and we're going to add some formatting, but it comes in with the cells and columns because that's how it was formatted in Excel. So once you've placed that in, you have to use your type tool to select any of the content here. So I'm going to switch to my type tool using the letter T. If I click on the, there we go. So now I'm in my type tool, and if I hover over the top left corner, you see the diagonal arrow. If I click, it will select the entire table. If I click over the top, it will just select that column. If I click to the side, it will just select that cell. If I click and drag, I can select however many cells I want to highlight or select. Okay, so you have to be in your type tool to do that. Go ahead and select the entire table. So using that click on that upper left corner using your type tool. And then we're going to format all of the text using the paragraph styles. So again, against the clock has already created our table styles here under paragraph style. So I'm going to select table text to format all of the text in my table to this table text style. Okay, then if you want to deselect, you can just click away or outside of that frame to deselect it. And then I can select individual cells or columns. So I'm going to select this entire column on the left. And then I can go open up my table panel. If you don't see that, go to Window, Type in Tables, and then select Table from there. Okay, so that brings up the table menu, and I have a lot of different options here. So under this menu, I can change the size of the column width using my table menu here. So I can change the column width to 1.25. So right here, I'm just going to type in 1.25 inches. So that reduces the width of the column. And then I'm going to choose where it says at least, I'm going to change that to exactly. So I want the height of my columns to be exactly 0.235 inches. Once I do that, I see that my right column has overset text. So in the table, the overset text icon is a circle with a white outline. So to fix that, I'm just going to click on the right edge and extend the width of that column until the overset text icon disappears. So just click and drag until that overset text icon disappears. Then I'm going to click inside one of these cells on the left column, and I'm going to insert a column. So I want to insert a column to the left. So you can insert columns and cells even after you created it. So I'm going to use the option menu here in the table panel, and I want to select Insert Column. And then I'm going to select one column to the left of wherever my cursor is and click OK. So now I've inserted an entire column, and it's just going to keep the rows consistent. On the first cell, I'm going to type in this text, ARAA contacts. And I'm going to use all caps for contacts. All right, and this is on step 12, page 198 in your textbook. Okay, then I'm going to format that using my paragraph style menu and select table head. And I've got that overset text icon again, so it doesn't fit, but that's okay because I'm going to fix that. So then I'm going to put my cursor over that first column. Let me zoom in here so y'all can see better. Okay, so I'm going to select that first column, and then I'm going to make that all one column. So I don't want these individual rows in the cells. I just want one big column. This is going to be a header column. You know, you could put your header at the top, or you could run it on the side. So we're going to run this on the side. I'm going to use my properties menu, and then under cell divisions, you'll see this button that has an X on it. That's called merge cells. If I click on that, it will merge all of those cells. Then I can rotate my text. So I'm going to use my control panel, and I'm looking for, oh, I see. So I have to actually select the entire column. So click above that column to select that entire first column. Then you'll see your options to rotate in your control panel. So see here where you can have these different orientations for the type. So I'm going to select rotate text to 270 degrees, and then it will run it up and down facing the next column to the right. So then once I've done that, I'm going to merge some more cells. So I'm going to select the name and then their job title, and I want these to become one cell instead of two individual ones. So I'm going to click on that merge cells button. And you can also use your table menu and use the option menu and select merge cells from there. So it's just two different places you can access that. If you want to use the button, you can do it in the properties panel and just merge that way. So just merging all the names with their job titles, and that way we just have 5 rows in that middle column. We're going to leave the right one as is. And then with all the cells selected, and go into the upper left corner, I'm going to select the entire table, and then I want to use the align center. So go to your table menu and see where this align center option is. I want to click that to align everything to the center. So you've got different alignment options here in your table menu. All right, so hopefully that's working for anyone else that's following along. Another thing though that you can do if you are not placing the table from Excel, if you're working on your own newsletter and you just want to create a table from scratch in InDesign, then you would use the table, create table option, and then you could decide how many rows and columns you want. So if we're creating this kind of table, you could select 2 columns, 10 rows. You could select a header or footer if you want. I'm just using basic table style and click OK, and then I click somewhere on the page, and then it creates a table with 2 columns and 10 rows, and then I can type my information on here. So I could then type in or copy and paste information into my rows and columns, and then I can format it. So let me just move that over for now. All right, so now you can see how we can format a table. So going back up to this table, on page 200, we formatted this text. We applied that table header style to this first column. That's our header column. And then what we want to do now is place this table into our text frame on our actual document layout. And I'm going to go back to my type tool. All right, so click inside the text frame somewhere in the table, then click below the table. Okay, so you see where my cursor is right now. It's just in a cell here. Then I'm going to click below that cell. Once I do that, so below the cell, I can still see my bounding box here. So I want to click inside that bounding box below my table. Once I do that, you should see this gigantic cursor to the right of the table that's selecting the entire table. Okay, do you see that? Then I'm going to do a Command All. Okay, I'm going to do a Select All, and or Command A. Command A is select all, and now I can see that entire table is selected, and you see that cursor move to the left side. So now I'm selecting the entire table, and I'm going to copy this table. So I'm going to edit, copy, or Command C. So I'm going to copy it rather than cut it. That way it's still there. If I make a mistake, I can go back to it. Then I'm going to do a Command 0 to fit my page in view so I can see where I'm going to paste it. So then I want to put my cursor after the text here, and I'm going to hit another paragraph return or highlight this paragraph return after the last line and do a Command V to paste or edit paste. And I'm going to paste that table right in that space. Now if I zoom in, you can't see the table because of the overset text icon. It's not all fitting in this text frame. So I'm going to use my selection tool or click V on my keyboard, and I'm just going to extend the handlebar of this bounding box down a little bit. Just drag it down a little bit, and then you'll be able to see the table. All right, so then once I do that, I can do some more formatting to make this table fit into my page margins and into this column where my article is. All right, I'm on page 201 in the textbook. And what I'm going to do right now is make sure you're in your type tool. I'm going to click on the right edge of this first column where you see that double-headed arrow and drag to the left until the entire table fits within my page margins. So just keep dragging to the left until it fits within this 1/2 inch page margin. And that 1/2 inch is your thumb space. So I don't think I talked about this last time, but you want to have at least a 1/2 inch margin for your page margins so that when you're holding this article in your hand, this printed newsletter, that your thumbs aren't covering up any of the text. So you want to have at least a 1/2 inch space for a thumb space, and that's the page margin space. Okay, so now that I've done that, I still have some more formatting I need to do. I can also drag this bottom up so that fits exactly within my page margins, those pink guidelines on the bottom. When I do that, I've got the overset text icon again because it's not all fitting, but I can go back and fix that. So I'm going to select this entire right column, then use my table menu and that option menu and distribute the rows evenly. And now that text should fit again in that column or in that cell. And you can go back and delete that other table on the pasteboard if you don't need it anymore. So moving on, we're going to do some more formatting. We can change the color of our strokes and of our cells inside this table. We can change the color of our text if we wanted to. I'm going to place my cursor inside the table, and with the table menu open, I'm going to go to the option menu and select table options and then select table setup. And then here I've got some options that I can select. So I'm just going to move stuff around here so I can see this. Okay, so then in the table options, I can change my table border, and I can move this out of the way so I can see what's happening if you have the preview checked on. So in the table setup, I have a default weight of 1 point. I'm making that a little thinner. I'm going to change it to 0.5, and then I'm going to change the color to that Pantone 194C. So you can see that stroke outline changes, and you can see it happening with the preview. Then I'm going to select fills up at the top under table options. I'm going to switch to fills, and under alternating pattern, I'm going to select every second row so that every second row is going to alternate colors. And that's going to help divide up that content better so that it's more accessible to divide up that information. And I'm going to select a different color. So I'm going to select that Pantone color and tint it to 20%. So I'm going to alternate every 2 rows with that pink color. Then the next thing, I want the next 2 rows here to be filled with none. So I could fill it with a different color if I wanted to, but I'm just going to select none. So it's not going to use a different color for those alternating rows. Okay, then I'm going to click OK. And then the problem here with my header row now is it's not very readable with that white text and a light background. So I'm going to use my swatch menu and change that tint to 100% so that white text shows up against a dark background. I'm going to open up my table menu again. And then I want to change the stroke colors inside my cells. So I'm going to select my entire table again using my table menu, and then go to the options menu and select cell options, and I can select the strokes and fills under cell options, and I can change the weight and color of my stroke. So I could change the weight to a thinner stroke, and I can change that color to that Pantone color. I can't really see the preview because I had that highlighted, but I can click OK and deselect, and then I can hide my guidelines and see how that looks. So I think this table is looking pretty good now, and I think I'm done formatting the table. I'm going to bring my guidelines back up, and I can see I don't have any overset text. Everything's fitting within my page margins. And so I don't need that extraneous stuff on my pasteboard. Now I can go back and delete it. And if I created my own table in InDesign, I can use the table menu to format it with color and different strokes. You know, you can even place images inside these cells. I could even make a stroke invisible. If you don't want the lines to show up in your table, you can select none for the color of your strokes. For the inside or the outside, I could even place my cursor inside here and place an image inside here. I could go to File, Place. I could place an image or a dingbat. You know, this is probably not a good idea here, but I could place images inside here if I wanted to. So there's lots of different ways you can format your table. So I want to make sure that you're customizing your table in your personal newsletter. So don't just give me something like this with text and black outlines. You know, make it more interesting but functional. Make sure it works with your design layout and with your article content, but give me some formatting and some thought behind the formatting of your table. So I'm going to go back to the page menu and go back to page 1 because I think there are some things that I didn't show y'all last time. I'm going to zoom in here. I did not show you the story panel, and that's really helpful. In typography, you don't see it. You can go to Window and select Story. Probably under Types and Tables, there's the story. And what that does is, just like these hang indents, if you have hang quotes, you can select the story menu and check optical margin alignment. And then what that does is it pushes the quotations outside of the left edge. So it's a hanging quote mark, just like the hang numbered points. And that just generally makes your alignment better and smoother, and you can change the amount of the alignment if you select different point sizes for your text. Make sure also when you're wrapping things around frames, images, that you don't have any bad word breaks or rivers. What happens if you justify your text? If I go up and select justify, sometimes that is going to give you a cleaner right edge, but sometimes you have bad word breaks or gaps, too many gaps inside the text that make it harder to read. For example, we don't want to break up the proper noun, the word Houston here. So in this case, I'm going to use align to the left instead of justified, so to avoid those kind of problems. But you can also fix things like that by adjusting the tracking, tightening or loosening it if needed, or bring words down to the next line if I needed to do a soft return here. Then I could do that. If I wanted to bring this word down to the next line, I just hit a shift return for a soft return. And that way I'm not changing the paragraph styles, but I'm just bringing a word down to the next line. So those are just some typographic details you can watch out for, and make sure that you read through your article or get somebody else to read through it so that you don't catch any errors, like if your text gets cut off or if it jumps around, if it doesn't flow smoothly. So be looking for those kind of things. Make sure that it flows clearly from the front page to the back page. Let me see if I'm missing anything else here. I showed y'all how to use the character and paragraph styles to create your own styles last time. And then again, just make sure you got that thumb space. You know, you don't have text running into the margins, that you're not covering up any text when you're holding this newsletter in your hands. So definitely it's different context than the poster, because you're not seeing it hanging up on the wall. You're probably holding it in your hands. It might come to you in the mail, folded up in an envelope. Then you unfold it and you read it in that format. Don't forget to cite your sources, whether it's the publication or a stock photo that you're using. Check your images to make sure they're high resolution and CMYK, color space. You can use your links panel. If you do stage 4, it goes through how you can set up your pre-flight panel to check for any errors, which is really helpful. And I wish we probably should all do that, but I'm just not going to require it for time sake. If you're doing the trim lab, then you don't have to do stage 4. But if you are doing stage 4, it's setting up that pre-flight panel and using the dictionary and spell check. So also very useful skills to learn for InDesign. Okay, I think that I've talked enough, so I'm going to stop sharing.